Okay, we are recording, so I'm going to get going. All right, so welcome to my natural family healthcare class. I'm super excited because I have so much information I want to share, and I'm going to try to condense it and help get you on with the rest of your evening. But I just want to share a lot about what we do as a family, what we've learned over the past couple years, and what we implement to help us stay healthy, not only in this season, but especially in this season, flu, cold season, but also just year round. So I'm going to share my screen, and we'll get started here. Okay. There we go. All right. So I'm not going to go over everything that I have in my actual PowerPoint just because of time, but I will share this PowerPoint in the comments section, and I will also share the recipes with you afterwards. So, all right. All chronic illnesses are caused by stress. That's a crazy statistic, right? And 70% of the reasons that we go to our primary care doctors is because of stress, or more, 70% or more. When I learned those statistics this past spring in my class, I was astounded. I knew stress was a big contributor to a lot of illness and a lot of disease, but I didn't realize just how big of a role it played. And we don't always feel that stress, but our bodies are under stress, and whether it's our gut or our brain or whatever, we, as a society, we live in this constant state of stress, and it's really taking a toll on our health. And another huge piece of this puzzle is that our gut and our brain are so intimately connected that they both can dictate a response either way. So, if you've ever had that gut-wrenching experience, that's your brain telling your gut that you should be nervous, or vice versa. Sometimes your gut can actually be the cause of the stress. If your intestinal system is in disarray and disorder, it can cause stress and anxiety in your mind, and or it can also be the product of stress and anxiety. You can have like IBS or some other intestinal issue simply as a result of stress. Your gut is very emotional, and it feels a lot of your issues. So knowing those things, what are our goals? These are the things that I want to cover briefly tonight. Our goal is to eliminate stress. That's our number one goal. It's also to improve or maintain our gut health, support our immune system, and prevent illness, and then ultimately to be able to implement natural solutions into our daily lives so that we can live free from the harmful chemicals and the harmful pharmaceuticals, and we can live abundant lives. All right, so let's start with stress. All right, one of the biggest things that I do, and I think it's sort of a product of how I grew up. Being the oldest of 7 kids, Mom always just said, get outside, and we lived on a farm, and so we could do that. We could go outside and we could run and play. And so I think by default, I kind of was wired up. That's how you parent a little bit. And so I just kind of always turned my kids loose. But as I've been learning all about this life and stress and the natural lifestyle, I've realized that unstructured time that they have to really just get into their imaginations and to just be kids and play, that is actually beneficial for them in so many ways. But most importantly, by eliminating stress in their life. We're finding right now, even just with Burke going to all-day school, how stressful that can be. That structure, that structured time has really been causing a lot of issues at home. And so we are working through that, and certainly in homeschool is one of the things that we talk about, but it's not something that we're ready to implement right now. And it's not something we want to be reactive with, something we want to make just a really sound, prayerful decision about that. But anyway, I am really able to see the value of the unstructured time. And so that's something that we, I don't know why that is there, that 8 hours. My PowerPoint, I think, just kind of skipped some things. So sorry about that. Anyway, so the unstructured time is really important. The next one, it should say on there, and I'm not sure why it doesn't say that, is that right here, it should say that we need to get sleep. We need to make sure that we're getting really sound sleep. 8 hours is ideal for adults, and obviously more for children. And that's something that that's something we really try to be intentional to do as a family. We can't control when the kids go to sleep, and they sometimes fight us, but as a whole, we really try to get a solid night of sleep. Now, some natural solutions for eliminating stress. If you're having trouble sleeping or having trouble calming down, one big thing is a magnesium supplement. Now, I use the Natural Calm Powder, and I did I provided links here to everything that I'm talking about, so you can go check them out on your own time. But Natural Calm Powder, you can get unflavored or flavored. You can just add it to your drink, and it's a very simple magnesium supplement, and it's awesome. If you ever had restless leg syndrome, you're probably magnesium deficient. In fact, most of America is magnesium deficient. It's just something that we probably all should be taking as a general rule. But it will especially help with sleep and rest and just getting our bodies calm. Another thing that we can do is take a relaxing bath with some magnesium salts or Epsom salts, and we can add essential oils. And I did include a bath bomb recipe in the little bonus booklet that I'll send out to you afterwards. So if you could just actually put your email address into the comments, I'll email you the PDF for that afterwards. So relaxing baths are awesome, and as you soak in that water with the magnesium, it just gets absorbed into your body and through your skin, and it really can help you unwind and relax. Some essential oils that help with relaxation: lavender, bergamot. doTERRA has a Serenity blend, which is really awesome, and I'm not sure why that's not showing up there. But they also have, so the way I use the Serenity blend, I use it every night. I put a couple drops on my pillow, and I just love it because it helps me drift off, and I don't really have problems going to sleep or with sleep because I'm just always so tired and busy. But I love it because, I do wake up in the middle of the night with Hazel, and so I can keep getting whiffs of that oil, and it just is like so relaxing. It's soothing, and it definitely does help promote sleep. They also, doTERRA also makes a really great supplement with the Serenity essential oil blend, and also with the L-theanine, which is actually an amino acid that's extracted from green tea leaves. It's been studied a lot in scientific literature, so I've looked through a lot of PubMed articles on that, anywhere from studying it on infants with colic to adults with sleeping issues. It's really shown to help with rest and relaxation. And so those are another great option for people that struggle with sleep, especially if like the oils aren't quite cutting it. And then there is one other thing, and I don't have it on my paper now, but I will put that in the notes afterwards. And it's kind of like a last chance thing, because it's like there is a small chance of getting used to it. So you don't want to get your kids used to taking something to go to sleep. But I will put that in the comments just for, changes in routine or moving or stuff like that, where you really might need something to help. And then another interesting thing is that diffusing citrus oil, which is a brightening oil, it's an uplifting oil, an energizing oil, but it's also a calming oil. Citrus oils, when you diffuse them during the day, it actually can promote better quality sleep at night. So that's something to keep in mind going forward. So just a little bit about the gut. Some misconceptions here. Not all bacteria is bad, and not all antibacterials or antimicrobials are good. So those big billboards that you see for WellSpan and all their robotic, antibacterial machines, like, I'm not so impressed. It's actually not that great. But anyway, so when we're looking at the gut, we have the gut basically does so much. It affects nutrient absorption. It affects how your energy is regulated, intestinal development, how quickly or how slowly you metabolize drugs or chemicals or anything that you put on your skin or ingest in your body. And it also just helps with how your body processes the nutrients that it does get. And so gut health plays a key role in so many things that can really affect our weight and the development of inflammatory and autoimmune disorders, as we talked about earlier. And it really also has a big significant effect on psychiatry. So an interesting thing is that the majority of our serotonin is produced in the gut. Serotonin is what they refer to as the happy chemical. And so that really helps you understand just how intimately connected your gut is with your emotions and your psychiatric health. So a lot of anxiety and depression can really stem from a healthy gut, or an unhealthy gut, if you will. In fact, the gut has so many neurons that it's often referred to as the second brain. And another thing to keep in mind is that your gut can be drastically altered. The gut biome can be drastically altered in just 3 days. So, think about like when you take antibiotics or you do something that's different, what in the world? That can really be impacted. And even just simply by reducing your caloric intake, that alone can impact how your gut biome is altered. Okay, so gut health also impacts the ability of the immune system to work effectively. So we are going to look at improving and maintaining our gut health now. For this, diet is crucial, and this is something that I preach first and foremost is diet. Like, you've got to take control of your diet before you do anything else, because you can use essential oils, you can take supplements, you can take CBD oil, you can do all these great things, but if you are still putting junk in at the end of the day, you're still going to get junk out. And so you might see some benefits with essential oils, you might see some benefits with supplements, but you really need to lay that firm foundation, and you really need to heal from with food. Food is medicine. I say that all the time, and I'm super passionate about that, just because we've seen it in our own lives and how food as alone has transformed us. I mean, Ben used to be, when I met him, he was lactose intolerant. He couldn't drink milk. He couldn't eat eggs. He couldn't do ice cream. And I found a brochure that talked about how raw milk can cure that. And so we tried it, because really, I mean, what's the cost? $5, right? So we tried it, and then he handled it really well. And so he just kept drinking raw milk. At least it was something that he hasn't had in a long time, and he loved it. And then after a couple months, he's like, let's try eggs, because we were just eating egg beaters, and they really stink. They're just not that great. So we tried eggs, and he did fine. He didn't have any problems. And then after that, it was like, hey, let me try ice cream again. And sure enough, he could eat ice cream. And to this day, he can eat whatever dairy he wants and in any quantity he wants. And it's just amazing what that raw milk with these the live bacteria and all that good stuff, that the vitamins, the minerals, and the bacteria that was in there, all the cultured products that were in there, that just helped really heal his gut, which was awesome. So diet is everything. And one of the biggest dietary pieces is to reduce your sugar intake. Sugar can lower your immune system by up to 40% for a 3 to 4 hour duration after you consume sugar. And that is crazy, because you think, okay, for breakfast, I have a little sugar in my coffee. Well, then your immune system is now lowered until lunch, when you have a little cookie with your lunch. And then now your immune system's lowered until dinner. But then after dinner, you want to have like a little, dessert. Well, now your immune system's altered and reduced again until bedtime. And, maybe you have a sugary snack before bedtime, or maybe you don't, but still, it's like, so you spend most of your day with this compromised immune system just from sugar, which is crazy, right? So I was the mean mom last year, and from just shortly after January, after the new year, until right about Easter, I did a sugar moratorium. We cut it out completely. And if you've ever done that, you know how hard it is, because sugar is in literally everything. It's in stuff that shouldn't have sugar. It doesn't taste sugary, but it's in there. Like, I found popcorn, salty popcorn with sugar in it, or, even just Cheerios, plain Cheerios have sugar in them. Like, it's everywhere. So it's really hard to cut out sugar, but because we do a lot of our own canning, and we do a lot of our own food preserving, like, it did help me be able to control that. And it was a lot of work, but we saw so many benefits and just how we felt. The energy soared, our health soared. We lost, I personally lost all my baby weight, and I just felt good. I saw the kids' behaviors improve, and it just a lot of clarity. It was just, overall, it was a really great thing. So I definitely recommend that. Another thing is that you want to look for pastured meat products, pastured eggs, and pastured dairy. And I always tell people local is best. It's something that when people say, well, why do we have to do that? Well, because the cow eats the grass that is getting vitamins from the sun, minerals from the ground, the soil's full of good bacteria, good microbes, and bugs and all that good stuff, and they're getting that, and they're processing it in their rumen and in their several stomachs, and then that's getting converted into energy, into meat, and into delicious meat at that. So then when we eat food, those vitamins and those minerals are bioavailable, meaning that our bodies understand and recognize them, and they can absorb them and utilize them in their full capacity. Whereas if we take a vitamin supplement, something that's been artificially created in a lab, our bodies don't recognize it as well because it's not in a bioavailable form. So a lot of the nutrients that we think that we're getting in a multivitamin actually just get passed through and eliminated from our system because they're not absorbed. They're not in the right form. So that's why pastured meat and pastured dairy are so important. Okay, and just make sure I'm not missing stuff here because I feel like my slides are just not, they're not the greatest. Okay. Yeah, I'm missing that. The fermented foods. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute because this isn't working anyway. Hang on a second. Let me see how I can do that. All right. Can you see me now? Okay, so I don't want to share my screen. Stop share. There we go. So now you can just see me, right? Okay, so where was I? Oh, another thing to add into your diet is fermented foods, like lacto-fermented foods, I should say, like sauerkraut, kombucha, what else is there? Let's see. Sourdough bread. That's a big one. I love sourdough bread. I make it all the time. And the list goes on and on. But fermented foods will really help with that gut biome as well. All right. So I'm just going to keep talking, and I'll put the PowerPoint into the comments later. I'll share that with you because it's just not working right. And I'm sorry about that. I don't know why it's not working right. So I'm just going to go off my notes here a little bit. Okay, some natural solutions to gut health. Probiotics. We really should all be taking probiotics, all of us, because we just don't eat enough fermented foods. I mean, in antiquity, our ancestors, that's all they did because it was a big preservation method. And so they constantly had that those good bacteria being repopulated in their gut. We don't do that. We eat a lot of dead food, quite frankly. So we need to take something to supplement that. And so probiotics are a really great option. And I've just listed two that doTERRA offer, ones for the kids and ones for the grown-ups. And the kids is great because it's just in a powder form, so you can add it to yogurt or smoothies or water or whatever, and they enjoy it. So it's easy to get them to take that. Some essential oils that help with gut health and all of that is there's a blend that doTERRA makes called Digestin, which is awesome. We use that anytime we have intestinal issues or constipation or anything like that, where the kids are like, my belly hurts. I'm kind of like, all right, let's delete some of this Digestin and rub it on your belly, and they're good to go. Ginger is a really great essential oil and herb for gut health. And also peppermint. Those three are really great. And I've included a recipe for tummy tea in the recipe books. So that's another really great thing to mix some herbs together and steep them in some water with a little honey for your kiddos or for you anytime you have an upset stomach, and it just really helps soothe that. So those herbs are really great. And all right, so now we're going to talk about the immune system a little bit. So when I read the statistic that, or when I read the fact that children are actually wired to put things in their mouths up to about the age 10, I was like, yes, I'm a great mom, because I just can't fight that battle anymore. Like, it's crazy. But my kids put everything in their mouth. Like, seriously, from disgusting cigarette butts off on the ground to food off the grocery store floor to, you name it, they do it. It's like constant. And it's just something that before kids, I was like, oh, my kids are never going to blah, 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 blah. And now I'm like, you know what? I just don't have energy to fight that battle. So I don't. And I have healthy kids. I mean, what do you know? So I'm mostly doing something right? But when I learned that, it was actually because our God wired our bodies to do that. Like, it's an instinct for kids to put stuff into their mouths so that they can see, like, or they can, I'm sorry, I got distracted here, so that they can actually begin forming their immune system. So when they put something in their mouth that's foreign, their immune system's like, I don't recognize you. Their tonsils are the first line of defense, and it sends out a response. And so then they create these antibodies, and they form an immune response. And so then they have that written into their immune system forever and ever. And it's amazing how God did that. So I was pretty pumped when I learned that, because I thought, hey, my kids, now I know why. Now I know why they're so healthy. But another thing that we don't, I think about a lot is that in addition to our tonsils, like our skin and our mucous membranes and our fingernails, tears, earwax, all that kind of stuff, those are the first line of defense for our immune system. Those physical barriers are there to protect our immune system. And when we strip them with chemicals and harsh things, toxic products, we strip the good bacteria, which gives the bad bacteria a chance to get in. And so that's another reason why we're talking about these natural solutions, because if we can kill the bad bacteria but keep the good bacteria, then we're going to win. You know, those physical barriers are actually going to be beneficial to us then. And just another thing real quick while we're talking about the immune system is I just want to touch on fevers. I know a lot of the instinct as a parent is like, quick, make your kid as comfortable as possible. So we want to reduce the fever, because it's awful to watch them suffer. And I've been there, I've done that, and I won't do it again, because I learned that fevers actually are another way that our immune systems develop and mature. And so when we give them Tylenol, or when we give them these fever reducers, we're actually stunting that process of maturity, and we're leaving them open for greater attacks in the future, because they're not getting to mount that full antibody response. So as hard as it is to watch your kiddos struggle with fevers, it is really good. Now, obviously, you want to watch for like the ones that spike really high, or that spike really quickly, not really high, but really quickly, because those can lead to febrile seizures, and that's obviously something that you need to seek attention for. But just as a general rule, as long as they're not over 103, our biggest goal is just to keep them comfortable. So like a cool bath, not cold, because cold water can actually cause their temperature to elevate, but a cool sponge bath just to help them feel relieved. And also rubbing diluted peppermint up and down their spine, because peppermint is naturally cooling. That can help provide relief as well. But I did include some links to some natural fever reducer products too. One's called Herbs for Kids Temperature, and another one's Children's Composition. So those are two really great really great things to have in your medicine cabinet in case of a fever that does go above 103. And then you can kind of troubleshoot with that, but not actually harm their immune system. Okay. So when we're looking at boosting immunities, we want to, again, focus on diet and gut health. Um, and we want to then use some herbs. Our biggest herb that we use is elderberries. Elderberry syrup is everything, especially at this time of year when flu and cold season comes around. We really want to hammer elderberry syrup preventatively. And when you take elderberry syrup preventatively, you're looking at a teaspoon a day for kids under 7, a tablespoon a day for about 8 and up to adult. And that just really helps boost the immune system, and it can help prevent those upper respiratory illnesses or viruses. I did include a recipe for elderberry syrup. But if you don't want to make your own, 2 good brands I have in there, I have links to are Herbs for Kids or the Sambucol brand. So those are good ones. Now, elderberries are toxic. So they must be boiled or they must be simmered and you'll see in the recipe, you need to simmer them for at least 30 minutes. And then once you simmer them for that long, that heat releases that toxin and they're no longer toxic. But to eat raw elderberries, it's not something that would necessarily kill you, but it could cause an upset stomach, or it could cause some other problems. And if you are already immune compromised, I mean, obviously that could cause bigger problems, but just something to be aware of. And that's why I recommend those 2 brands too, because you can't always know that elderberries have been properly prepared. So another thing to do is to take garlic supplements. Now, we eat garlic in everything. I love garlic. It adds so much flavor and fragrance to the meal. So I pretty much always smell like garlic. My fingers, my kids are like, I don't want you to brush my teeth. They smell like garlic, So it's like I've always got garlic on my hands. So we eat a lot of garlic, and I know that helps keep us healthy. But one other way to really supplement is to take like an aged garlic supplement, and I linked to one called Kyolic, and they're really great. They have tons of different focuses with their supplements, but the aged garlic supplement by Kyolic is really great. Some essential oils that help boost immunity. doTERRA has a blend called On Guard, and that's really awesome. It smells great too. And it's full of different immune boosting oils, germ fighting oils, antimicrobial, antiviral oils. They're awesome. And oregano is another powerhouse. I mean, that one is, oh my gosh, it's antifungal, it's antiviral, it's antimicrobial. I mean, that one really takes the cake, I think, on a lot of immune boosting stuff. So I actually included an immunity rollerball recipe also in the recipe list. And that includes several of these oils that we talk about. Frankincense is another one. And those are 3 of the ones that are in the immunity rollerball blend. And so we roll that on our feet or the backs of our necks or something. Try to do that daily if we can. Sometimes we forget, but especially when we don't feel that great, we definitely do it. But I try to do it preventatively also. And I just think I've just really seen the benefit of that, especially when we a couple years ago when we took our oldest 2 to Ethiopia. We did that nonstop, and we dodged a lot of sickness bullets. We were around a lot of sickness, a lot of upper respiratory illnesses and viruses, and none of us got it. So I thank God and I thank oils. So I always say Jesus and oils. Okay, but some other supplements that we can use to help boost our immunity are multivitamins for kiddos and for adults, and there's some that I linked to that you can check out. But again, I know that I mentioned before that vitamins aren't always bioavailable, but they're still beneficial. So if we're taking them with omegas, with fish oils, or with fat, like you need fat to help those fat soluble vitamins be absorbed into your body. So when we're taking them in conjunction with a healthy fat diet, a pastured fat diet, or like I said, with fish oil or something, then they are going to be better received and better absorbed into our bodies. All right, so some natural solutions. Let's go here. I'm going to talk about quickly some natural cleaning solutions that I implement just to get rid of those toxic products. It's been years and years since I've bought like dusting spray or floor cleaner or anything like that. We just have always, I mean, for probably 5 years now, just have used essential oils to cook and, I mean, to cook, yeah, sorry. My husband just said something, to clean, and they're awesome. So the first thing that I have is I have a disinfecting germ spray or spray recipe, a disinfecting spray recipe for you. I use that to spray down doorknobs, light switches, anything that's got lots of germy, fingery kid stuff on it. You know, they come home from school and they touch all their stuff, and so I use that for that, and it's awesome. I also we've swapped out all fragrances. In fact, I'm allergic to fragrances now, so I can't be in a room with a burning candle. I can't be in a room with a lot of perfume, or I just get really stuffy and my head gets foggy, and I just really have a lot of hard times breathing even. I've noticed since we've eliminated fragrances, I really struggle with fragrances. So one of the things that we do in order to not have a stinky house, because, you know, everyone wants to smell good and have a good smelling house, is we just use the diffuser, and that's an easy replacement for all those harmful chemicals. So I did include a bunch of diffuser recipes that I enjoy too. And another thing that I do actually is I mix some, doTERRA has a blend called Purify, and I mix that in with baking soda, and I sprinkle that on our carpet before I vacuum it, and just helps to deodorize it, it helps to clean it, and it just helps to freshen the room. And so that's another great trick there. And then the last one that I mentioned is that we like to keep our hands and surfaces clean with an on-the-go hand sanitizer. It's all natural, made just with some very simple ingredients, essential oils, some aloe vera gel. So it's really simple, really easy, and my kids love it. And I even found the little silicone koozie holders for it, so it gets to hook onto their backpacks, and they think they're so cool, and all their friends want them. So hey, oils. But no, they're awesome. And so I did include that recipe as well. So just some going into the respiratory illnesses and the colds and flus. We already talked about elderberry syrup. So when you have an issue then, and so now we're out of preventative mode, now we're looking at treatment mode. Now we're going to take those same doses, but we're going to do them every 2 to 3 hours. So we need to hammer it, and then you need to hammer it as quickly as you can. So from that first sign of illness, first sign of like, I'm not feeling quite right, you want to go and you want to hammer that, you want to hammer that elderberry syrup. And echinacea is another really great one. It's been proven to reduce the duration and intensity of the flu. In fact, I didn't mention, but elderberry syrup has actually, it actually worked better. It was more effective than Tamiflu. So just something to keep in mind. You don't have to reach for the drugs. Just grab your elderberry syrup. But the echinacea, the echinacea is awesome. And I actually linked to a standardized product that's on the market that you can buy. It's called Echinacea Hot Drink by Vogel, and that's more effective than pharmaceuticals even for flu treatment as well. You don't want to use echinacea preventively because you shouldn't use it for a long duration, but it's really great. It's a really great treatment option. On Guard essential oil, and doTERRA also makes amazing throat drops that with the On Guard blend in them. I pop those in my mouth at the first sign of just that yucky feeling, and they're awesome. They really help boost that. I take elderberry serum and a throat and an on guard drop, and it really turns things around quickly. Eucalyptus radiata is another great essential oil. You want to make sure that it is the radiata, not the globulus. Even within the different herbs, so eucalyptus globulus or eucalyptus radiata, so they have different herb chemical compositions and different constituents that make up that each herb. And so eucalyptus isn't just eucalyptus, it's, you know, they're unique. And so the the eucalyptus radiata, is the best for that congestion that you feel. And I actually included a recipe for aromatic honey, which is awesome. It's very strong, it's very potent, and it's like, at first, but you add it to some tea. You can take it plain too. But it opens you up. It's got ginger and it's got the aromatic honey and the honey and the eucalyptus, and it's awesome. The only caution with eucalyptus is not to use it on children under 2. You can Google it and find recommendations, like all kinds of recommendations all over the board. But studies show that after the age of 2, it's completely safe. It's just that it can slow the breathing, and so we don't want our kids who already have slower breathing anyway, just because they're developing, and that's something that isn't fully developed until the age of 2. We don't want them to have any slower breathing, because that would not be good. So just something to keep in mind. But after 2, it's perfectly fine. Diffuse it in their rooms, rub it on their chest with, diluted, of course, or try the aromatic honey. It's really great. And another thing to keep in mind is the Breathe essential oil that doTERRA offers, they also have Breathe drops, which Breathe is a blend of eucalyptus radiata, peppermint, and a bunch of other cardamom, I think, other oils that promote respiratory health and clarity and all of that. And what's really cool is whenever I have a headache, peppermint and eucalyptus are the 2 best herbs and essential oils to use for headache treatment. So Breathe drops, not only do they help with respiratory issues, but they also help with headaches. Because sometimes I find that ingestion is, for me, that's like the only way that essential oils work. So for certain things, topical application is awesome, and same with diffusing it and the breathing it in. But certain things like a headache, just rubbing peppermint on alone isn't always effective. So sometimes I have to do it internally, and that's how I prefer to do it, is with a Breathe drop. So those are just some other tools that are out there. So now we'll look at some natural solutions for digestion. And am I here? Okay, so digestion, we already talked about that. I just dilute that with some fractionated coconut oil. I rub that on the belly. And I'm talking, you could have severe gas pains. You rub that essential oil on there, and within 20 minutes, you can feel that just dissipate. It's awesome. Amazing. And another thing that, like when I'm pregnant, for instance, which I'm not right now, but when I do have pregnancy, or when I'm pregnant, I typically end up with heartburn. And I try not to take antacids because they can do more harm than good. And so, like with Burke, I basically carried around a big tub of Tums because I just didn't know. I wasn't on my journey yet. And afterwards, I learned what they can do, and I'm like, oh, I don't think I want to do that anymore. So anyway, there were some times when I just dealt with it because I didn't know what to do, and now I know what to do, and it's awesome. But fermented foods, like lactose fermented foods like sauerkraut, apple cider vinegar, like we talked about earlier, those can help, and certainly they what I found is they definitely help immediately. So like I'll take a shot of apple cider vinegar and some water, and it's like, ooh, real sour, but it does help, like right away. It's like that burn gets calmed down. But it comes back sometimes. So sometimes it's not like a good long-term solution, but it does help in the moment. And certainly your experience could be different. So it's something to try. But what I love is that doTERRA makes this a natural antacid supplement. So it's It's made with the Digest Zen blend of oils, and it's a chewable digestion tablet that's very similar to an over-the-counter an acid product in what it does, but it's not got the harmful effects of that. So I enjoy those during pregnancy and whenever I have heartburn, but that's really rare unless I'm pregnant. So thankfully, but if you struggle with that, those are things to keep in mind. And another good one is the ginger essential oil or tea. You can, like I said, you can add the oil to your honey and put that in your tea, or you can just grate some fresh ginger and steep that in your tea and have some great tea that way. It's really great for morning sickness. It's really great for nausea. It's amazing for a lot of digestive complaints. It's also a mood uplifter too. So yeah, that's also a little benefit there. Another thing is we want to treat naturally seasonal allergies. I don't know if anyone struggles with that or not, but I do. I have some seasonal allergies. Now they've gotten better. I feel like every year they get better. So that's not something that's terribly bad for me, but I have animal allergies. And even just recently I learned that I was allergic to our cow. And I was really upset because when we would go visit her, I would leave and I'd be like all swollen up, kind of like Hitch, and I'm like, oh, this is not good. How I'm going to milk this cow. I really want this cow, but I don't know how I'm going to milk her. So I'd come home and I'd get out the lavender, and what I found is that a drop of lavender and a tablespoon of honey, and you just take that and within 20 minutes my hives are dissipating. I roll the lavender on my hives topically, and I ingest the lavender that way. And like within 20 minutes, I have the same response as an over-the-counter antihistamine. It's awesome. Guys, I looked it up, and lavender is a natural antihistamine, and I sing its praises. Like, I don't know where I would be without lavender. And now I can touch my cow, and I can pet her, and I don't have any problems. I'm so excited. So if you struggle with allergies, definitely add lavender. Like, you need lavender. And you don't need that over-the-counter product anymore. Lavender is really great for stings too, bee stings, stings, anything like any skin issue really. And I have a seasonal rollerball recipe for you that includes the lavender, lemon, and peppermint essential oils, and that's great. We roll that on the back of our necks, and it just takes away the watery eyes, that sneezy nose feeling. It really helps soothe that. Some natural solutions for fungal infections lately, we've been dealing with ringworm, and I tried Melaleuca because that's a really great antifungal, antiseptic. It's all those great things. But it alone wasn't doing the trick. So I added the oregano. Again, that's the powerhouse. And that combination synergistically took it down. I'm talking like ringworm gone. Like, it was awesome, and it didn't take long. And so, those two are really great in conjunction with one another. Frankincense is another one that, in conjunction with Melaleuca, that took away all of Justice's warts. He was covered on them, like he had on his mouth, and he's this is the kid that puts everything in his mouth, like literally everything. So no wonder he had warts everywhere, because from his private area down like his chest and torso all the way up to his face. And poor kid looked a little simple for a while because he just was like covered in these warty splotches, and he was picking them open because they were itchy. So I mixed up some Melaleuca and frankincense, and we rolled them on every a couple times a day, and within a week they were gone. And it's awesome, right? So yes, we sing their praises. Some natural solutions for wound care. Lavender, again, I'm going back to lavender because it's awesome. That is, lavender actually promotes healing and rapidly replaces collagen in your skin. So it increases the healthy new skin. It's antimicrobial. It's like everything you want in one herb. It's amazing. And it's so gentle that you can actually add one drop directly to an open wound to help clean it and begin the healing process. Now, every other essential oil I would not recommend applying to an open wound, but lavender is one that you can, and it's gentle. It doesn't sting, and it is awesome. Melaleuca is another great one for wound care. It's antiseptic, antibacterial, and it can also use to help clean wounds. But again, that one I would dilute a little bit. And then doTERRA makes, basically it's like a natural form of Neosporin or something like that. It's an antibacterial ointment that's made with essential oils. It's called Correct-X, and it's awesome. It's made with frankincense, helichrysum, melaleuca, cedarwood, and lavender. And those oils synergistically, like I said before, just work together to heal that skin, to keep infections down, and to just promote that healing that you want so quickly. So just real quickly, I know I talked a lot about essential oils. I mentioned a lot about doTERRA. And I just want to talk briefly about why I use doTERRA specifically. In my classes and just overall in the past couple of years, I have used several different brands of essential oils. But the more I learned about essential oils, the more I learned about herbs, the more I learned about all that stuff, the more I found myself wanting the guarantee of purity, because I found that about 75% of the herbal products in the United States market are adulterated in some way, shape, or form. And it doesn't mean that they're intentionally adulterated or contaminated. It could be as simple as, peppermint might just have a little spearmint in it, or it might just be somehow mislabeled. Even like organic companies with certified organic processes, like they still have been found to be contaminated or adulterated. And adulteration just means that it's not what it says it is. And there's, especially when we're using them for ingestion, like I want to know that what I'm putting in my body is what I think I'm putting in my body, and as I'm going to be an herbalist, like I need to know that the constituents, I need to look at the different constituents and see, okay, this percentage of menthol is better for this condition than this percentage of menthol. So I need to look at them and say, okay, this is it. This is what it says it is, and this is the content that's in it. So, so I really got passionate about finding a company that had that third-party testing and certification, and that was forthcoming with it. So with doTERRA, they are third-party tested and certified, and every bottle has a code on the bottom of it, and you can actually go to their Source for You website and enter that code in, and it'll pull up that certificate of analysis. And I love that. It makes me feel so secure using their products, and just like I love the transparency there. So that's why I recommend doTERRA, and that's why I use them. And they're also responsibly sourced and grown in natural ecosystems, which obviously helps create a more potent and pure product. So those are the reasons I use them. And if you are new to essential oils, there are some really great specials right now through September. There's 20% off certain kits, and I have included them in the PowerPoint, but the Home Essentials kit is regular, like retails at $366. It's the wholesale is $275, and 20% off, it makes it $220. It's awesome. You get the top 10 oils, which we've covered, like basically they're in all the recipes that I've included, and a diffuser. So that's a really great option. There's several other ones that I've discussed on there as well. So you can take a look at those. If you are already using essential oils, keep going. Take the recipes that I put in there and make your own. That's awesome. But like I said, if you're new to them, I'd love to tell you more about them. I'd love to answer any questions you have. And so if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. I don't want to take a whole lot more of your time, but if you do have some questions about what we covered tonight briefly, then I'm happy to answer them. All right, I don't see any questions. So, whoops, there we go. Oh, thanks, Chelsea. Love you, girl. All right, do you have any questions? You good? All right. Well then, okay, awesome. Well, I hope that you have enjoyed this. I hope that you have learned something, and I love I love to teach. I love to tell you. I love to share. I love to share what we have learned on our journey, and everything I'm passionate about. I'm excited to start a new class on October 1st. My classes will start up again, and I'm super excited for that. So I'll keep sharing. So I'll keep you posted. Thanks again for joining, and for those of you who are watching the replay, thanks again too. And if you have any questions, just feel free to contact me, email me, text me, call me, do whatever. I love to share and I love to answer those questions. So, alrighty, have a good night.